Hello, friends and neighbors, people of YouTube, brothers, sisters, and trolls, and anyone else who happens to be watching. This is your old pal, the Dark Lord Dixie, who is not wearing a ponytail. His hair is just too long because he hasn't got it cut, and quarantine life. But anyway, we're here at Dead Sexy Radio. We're going to bring you another book review. It's a book review. Over the last couple of days, I have been to Falk, Arkansas, looking for the Bigfoot monster. 8-hour drive out. Took me about 12 hours to get back, so I'm still exhausted. I meant to write this down and actually have some crib notes to look at, and I didn't. But anyway, let's get on to my short and not so nasty, hopefully, review of Ancient Enemy by Mark Lukens. Now, Ancient Enemy is a cosmic horror, I'm trying to say horror, not horror, movie by Mark Lukens. I've been a fan of cosmic horror ever since before I knew who Lovecraft was. Introduced, I believe, by Stephen King in one of his short story collections, and that's where I actually first heard the name Lovecraft as well. Lucan's story, The Ancient Enemy, is cosmic horror, but it has nothing to do, so far, with the Lovecraft, Cthulhu mythos, or any of the other creatures that I know of that Lovecraft had touched on. Instead, the Ancient Enemy revolves around the ancient Anasazi people, and I hope I pronounced that right, and their beliefs, customs, possibly, because we still don't know a whole lot about them. We just know that they built large cities in the walls and the cliffs, and then suddenly they disappeared, and no one knows where they are or where they went to. Ancient Enemy involves Stella and David, who we first meet them in a archaeological dig in Arizona, and the dig site has apparently been attacked by some sinister force, and we're not really introduced to it. We don't really know what it's done, but we hear that it is apparently very bloody, very nasty, whatever has happened there. Stella and David flee in the middle of the night. They flee north into Colorado, where they run into a group of bank robbers, including their leader Frank and Cole, who is kind of, I guess, the second-hand man in the group. And they basically kidnap Stella to get her car. They end up in this cabin alone in the cold during a huge blizzard, and things begin to happen. Frank disappears. The evil, demonic, ancient enemy then appears at the house and starts demanding things. And we learn from Stella this is exactly what happened back in Arizona. The ancient enemy asks for things, and you have to give it to him, or else it gets nasty. And the things he asks for, they can be kind of nasty too. The first thing he asks for is all the crooks' money. They just robbed the bank. They really don't feel like just giving away all of their cash to something they don't even know what it is at first. But things get nastier. The ancient enemy asks for something a little worse than money, and he does some pretty nasty things to the group. And eventually, the group inside the home, paranoia, fear starts to eat at them. The ancient enemy from the outside attacking them, and leads to a showdown between Cole and Stella and the young David and the ancient enemy, and I don't want to say hordes of undead because they weren't really hordes, but his undead minions. Let's just put it that way. So I started the book last week, right before I left for Arkansas, and some of my downtime at the hotel at night, I really had a hard time putting the book down. Finished it off Sunday after I got home. Really a fun book. And like I said, I love cosmic horror, so I'm going to be kind of jaded toward it. But he did a good job of introducing this ancient enemy out of the, I want to say Anasazi legends, but we don't even really have any legends. But basically, out of what we do know about Anasazi, introducing this powerful evil force to attack Stella and David. The pacing is really good. It's kind of slow at first, but once the ancient enemy is actually introduced into the story, everything moves along pretty quickly. It's not too gory. It's not a lot of profanity. It's just, I consider it just a normal, as far as if you're worried about, oh, I don't want to read a lot of profanity, I don't want to read a lot of gore, there are some gory scenes in it. Most of them are not that bad. There was one scene that actually made me, I believe it was Saturday night, I put the book down and like, okay, I'm going to have to wait until I read this till tomorrow. And I'm a guy who really enjoys bloody, gory movies. The characters are mostly great. There's maybe a little bit of stereotypical characterizations in them, and none of them are developed supremely well, but they're all developed well enough to work inside the story. So it's actually a fun read. You don't feel like Stella suddenly has a superpower that you've never heard of before, or suddenly has some belief system that you've never heard of before. It works for the story for what it is. It is a short novel. It's not that long. Uh, I don't think this was planned as a first of a series, but being that it is part of a series, you can expect more character development, I hope, in the second or third books. And I've got the second book downloaded, but I haven't started it yet. The conclusion of the book is fairly well done. I started to say graphic. If it was a movie, there would be some really disturbing scenes. Being able to read them versus actually see them, there's nothing that I think is going to disturb you too bad. If you're lighthearted, don't think you can handle it. The ending is fitting for a solo story, so if you don't want to continue the series, you're not going to feel cheated. You're not going to feel like, holy shit, I don't know what's going to happen next. You're given a clean enough ending that you can walk away from them. However, there is the little tab there that if you want to follow along, it leads into the second story, which, like I said, I have not started reading yet. So, if I was going to judge this book, and I haven't read as much lately, I've read about 4 books in the last year, so I'm really behind on my reading. I'm trying to pick it up. But if I was going to judge this on a scale of 1 to 5, I would probably give it a 3.5 to 4 stars out of 5. It's not going to be an all-time literary classic. It's not even going to be an all-time literary classic of the horror genre, but it's a good book. It's well written. Well written, and I'm sorry, but I've just been reading some very, very amateurish books lately, and compared to them, it's spectacular. So if you are a fan of horror books, if you are a friend of cosmic horror around the Lovecraftian vein, check this out. Like I said, you're not going to find any Lovecraft. You're not going to find any mention of his old ones. And if you really want to sit down and argue with someone, you can say, well, you simply weren't told. And the creatures are cosmic enough that you could fit them into the Cthulhu or the Lovecraftian greater mythos if you wanted to. But there's no direct correlation. You don't see any of the big baddies that you may remember from Lovecraftian books. So check it out. I already have the second one downloaded, but I am currently reading Lovecraft Country. I'll probably try to do a review for that. Maybe my reviews will get better as I go along. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. That's up for you to decide. Like and subscribe. I'm going to do another unboxing video soon, I think. And once I get to 100 subscribers and woohoo, I'm past the halfway point there, I am going to give away some unopened, steel sealed, I started to say unsealed, some steel sealed, unopened Blu-rays to one lucky subscriber. Sippy sippy. And that's all I got for you. Not a biggie here. Going to try to get this uploaded today. And hopefully this week I will also get some of my Loch Ness pictures and stuff uploaded. So anyway, thank you for watching or not watching. Thank you for trolling. Like, subscribe, unlike. Be good to each other. See you later. Bye.